Live? I don't know. I'm going to click the button anyway. See what happens.
Just see.
Welcome to your awakening. Please take all as your reality is adjusted.
Welcome to your screen share. Click the buttons as fast as you can. Touch the screen now for a sense of happiness. Ah! No. Hello, folks. Welcome back again. Welcome back again. Another edition of Sol Excalibre on this Moon Day evening. Yeah, a couple of minutes late. You know what it's like. You know all the usual stuff. Click the buttons, click the share and like, and do all that kind of stuff that you already know how to do. Just click, 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 click. Do all the clicking. Yeah, I was busy trying to catch up. There seems to have been a lot of news. Sorry, I've got stuff on my glasses. A lot of news and stuff going on this week and weekend. And there was a lot of stuff for me to try and catch up on. So I'm late to getting started and late to getting set up, but you know what it's like. It's the usual kind of thing. This is not a professional business going on here. Don't do the fancy graphics and studio and whatever else. It's just me and a camera and a microphone, and not just me, multiple people, friends talking. Let me get back to that main screen. I'll come back to the chat room in just a moment. Yeah, just me talking at a camera primarily. So there's no fancy stuff. There's no banging tunes in the background. You can add them yourself, put your own music on in the background. Then you get to choose what tunes you're listening to. Anyway, yes, hello, welcome, greetings, well met, salutations, fellow hail. I'll try and get through the kind of housekeeping intro stuff as quick as I can now so we can just get on to chatting because there's been a lot of stuff going on. And so in that kind of sense, there's a couple of notes straight off the bat to begin with. Gary's not able to join in the chat at the moment because where he is over in Barcelona, they now have a curfew which runs from 9 p.m. their time, which is an hour ahead of here. And because of the curfew, this evening, the internet cafe where he regularly goes to join in, he's decided to shut an hour earlier than the curfew so that they have enough time to close up and do whatever. Yeah, so basically, he's got no internet access at the moment because of the curfew that is currently running in Barcelona over in Spain. Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's regional over there, whether they've got slightly different rules in different regions, similar to what they're doing here in the UK. Maybe they do, I don't know. But yeah, a lot of places now are starting to introduce curfews. Yeah, so sorry, Gary's not here tonight. I send him your well wishes. Go and sub to his channel, Society of the Spectacle. I'm sure he'll be online again as soon as he gets the opportunity. And in another sort of similar note to some of the stuff that's happening here on the YouTube and the channels that are trying to put content out that helps people or raises questions or points out the propaganda, all the usual good stuff. Yeah, a lot of people are getting hit. Conscious Resistance got shut down. I'm not sure if it was today or yesterday. Their channel has been removed. So go and check their website if you want to keep up with their work. As I've mentioned, I've talked about it a few times. Derek Bros, he's the main content creator. He's not the only one. There's a little team of them that all connect through the Conscious Resistance Network. But yeah, if you want to check their stuff out, go and check out their website directly at consciousresistance.com because he is on BitChute and Library, LRBY, isn't it? Yeah, Libri or LBRY, sorry. Libri, can't even spell English proper. Yeah, he's on lots of other platforms where you can find his work and the work of the rest of the guys that they're on that network. but the quickest and most direct way to find their content is via their own website. Same for other people like Corbett. Go to the Corbett Report website rather than just relying on one particular platform to find their work. Yeah, so stuff like that. YouTube is still continuing with its purge. I don't think Conscious Resistance has ever really been into the whole QAnon stuff. I know they've covered it, they've talked about it in the same way as we often have, but they're not like QAnon promoters. So I don't think YouTube can really claim that it was part of that QAnon purge. Not that they are claiming that they're doing that. Yeah, they put out the usual PR spin of, oh, we need to get rid of naughty people online and saying naughty things. But really, it does seem to revolve around the current election in the USA and the stuff coming out of QAnon, like the Biden emails and all that kind of stuff. Again, on a similar note, talking about other people's channels, to give a shout out to Jackie Jam Noise. Her main channel got struck again today because she uploaded a video about the Doctors Alliance in Germany, which you might be able to find that video knocking around if somebody's channel can manage to host it without getting stomped on. Yeah, she keeps getting strikes on her main channel now, so she started up a new channel, which I'll play a few clips of later, and I'll put a link in the chat room. If I put a link in now to one of the clips, you'll be able to find a channel then, and check it out for yourself, and go and sub that new channel that she set up, because that in effect acts as like a backup channel if you want to find her content or keep in contact with her. Because yeah, YouTube is still stomping around, shutting people down and throwing strikes out all over the place, community guideline bullshit or whatever excuse they hide it under. It is basically just about stifling speech and curtailing the exchange of information between people. So, we might have to tap dance a bit, and as we've often spoke about here, I primarily do this stuff on YouTube, but if they shut me down here, we can move to a different platform. We'll pop up on other platforms somewhere. I've got accounts on the other platforms and networks. Peter's got accounts on other platforms where he's on BitChute. He's been uploading. Is it BitChute? No, Brand New Tube, wasn't it, Pete?
Yeah, Brand New Tube and BitChute. Yeah. I just don't use BitChute. I tried. I've done one upload on there, but it's another option. I'll start using it again when things get like this.
I found it a bit slow and cumbersome as well, but
yeah.
I've kept it so that I can use it if we need to. But
yeah.
If things keep going the way they are, don't be surprised if channels are getting shut down left, right, and centre. So you have to be a little bit tech savvy, just in the sense of knowing how to make use of the internet. All the usual stuff. Click this, click that, subscribe to this, look at this link. I think people are well aware of how this stuff works now. So you just got to be prepared to put in the effort to do a bit of dancing to keep up with the people or the content creators, the information sources that you want to keep up with. A lot of what is going on and a lot of the situation as a big whole, talking about the big picture kind of thing, is a situation where it does really come down to how much responsibility are you willing to take on. Because as this thing progresses and stretches out its blanket of dominance, freedom, as we like to call it, is only going to be possible by you taking the responsibility for it into your own hands. So in other words, if you want to see information, if you want to have access to information that's not the mainstream official propaganda narrative being pumped out by the system, then you have to make the responsible effort to go and look for it yourself. You have to take that responsibility into your own hands and not rely on third parties like a talking head on the screen giving you directions or bringing the information to you. Rant over, sorry. I'm not telling you off, but this is a kind of situation we're in where a lot of what they're doing comes back to the self-responsibility, self-authorship, self-ownership, sovereignty. There's various words and similes you can use to describe the concept. And them, the system, the they, as people hate that label so much. Oh, are you talking about? Well, go and look and you'll see there's a plethora of names that you can pluck out. So we just use the shortening of they. Yeah, it makes conversation quicker and easier. They will quite happily take away everything from you that they can. So you acquiescing away your responsibility to them gives them the power to take things away from you, basically. So, yeah. So there we go. That's less than 15 minutes. Wow, I think that might be a record. I sort of got through all that kind of, mentioning all that stuff. It's kind of like housekeeping, but it's to do with this platform primarily at the moment, YouTube. But it's true across the board, Even the other supposed new independent platforms, they're going to start to suffer getting hits in various ways.
Yeah. Well, we saw brand new Tube. We mentioned it getting hacked, and the latest reality chat I did last week, I have been unable to upload it to their platform again because I just give up. It just keeps spitting it back, or it just deletes it or gets rid of it and then comes up with a new page to do it again. And I tried about 3 or 4 times and I just gave up. I just thought, this is just not working. So I might give it another crack, but it seems to be very glitchy again, a bit like BitChute. We talked, that's similar. Yeah. It took me, I think, 4 or 5 attempts just to get one of the videos up. It's not my system. It runs quite quick. Everything works. It's just takes a long time for some reason. But they seem to be getting lots of uploads, like I say, but it seems that certain people struggle with it.
You could also be getting the effect that I don't know because I ain't experienced it, but I've heard other people talk about how because of the lack of infrastructure, because obviously they're a new startup, so they don't have tons and tons of server space and bandwidth and stuff like that yet. So they're doing a kind of vetting process where if you how do you define it? If you've got 4 legs, but some 4 legs are more equal than others, all 4 legs are equal, but 4 legs are more equal than others. Anyway, paraphrasing terribly. If they haven't vetted your channel yet, you may be stuck in that kind of queue waiting for them to increase their architecture so you can be fitted in, because of the sheer number of people wanting to make use of a
maybe
service like that.
That's very busy and it's just spitting me back. So
Dr. Vernon Coleman's been doing all right. His uploads are going up regularly, Sean Atwood and all them big names, they're not getting these kind of problems. But smaller content creators, no, you're stuck in a queue waiting for them to give you permission to be, running properly or whatever.
Yeah, well, I could say, the infrastructure needs to obviously expand a bit, and they are new platforms. BitChute's off the blockchain though, isn't it? So that's just unlimited, isn't it? I thought that would be a bit more easier to upload.
They've still got to have the same requirements of how much bandwidth is coming in and stuff like that. They don't exactly need server space other than obviously people have to make use of their hard drive space to store the blockchain that BitChain is attached to, a copy of the blockchain. But that's even with the biggest blockchains out there, that's not like you need a fucking server farm in Utah. It's not, you're not talking that kind of size of requirement, but it does limit it a bit because you're relying on that network system of peer-to-peer exchanges.
And I didn't know that conscious resistance had been taken down. I've just had a quick look on my subs, and it's not there. So that's a shame. But like you say, go to the website. I think they upload on BitChute as well, so they use BitChute. So
I only found out because Gary mentioned it earlier before we had to go, because I've got notifications for videos they put up recently. Well, I thought I had. They're now going to be gone, aren't they? So it's just because of the sheer amount of content that people are putting up. Plus, I try to keep track of a lot of different channels, so I don't have time to watch every single upload. So I tend to, scroll through my notifications and say, okay, that channel today or that video today. I have to sort of make a selection because there is literally not enough physical time for me to look at everybody's content.
You'll
So
never,
I hadn't
yeah.
actually caught up with their most recent uploads for the last day or two, and then boom, it's gone.
And that's what's happening, like you said. It's a big. This is how they're sort of controlling the narrative, or trying to on the main sites, on the main platforms.
Yeah.
But still, people are
Yeah.
sharing like mad and doing other things on other platforms as well. For YouTubers, just another one taking people down. And they're just. It'll carry on. It will carry on. Like I say, we'll get to the point where, like I say, people are now seeing beyond that anyway. As a sense of like they can see what's going on. Yeah, you say anything that's the truth, you get shut down, you get told to shut up. They're seeing that now, what we were probably experiencing 10 years ago or more, where you're saying these things you say and they're like, oh, go away, you go back to sleep. It's just all nonsense. They're never going to do that. I trust my governments. I think they're all good. They'll never sell me anything bad. They'll always look after me. My supermarkets are always selling me good, healthy, clean foods. And that kind of attitude we've been up against for quite a while, and it's like now they're seeing it for what it is. And the brown shirts are coming out in force, it seems, in the supermarkets and, dictating what you can and cannot buy now, it seems, more and more during these lockdown days we're having.
I've got a little video to sort of demonstrate, which I'll play in a bit. I've got it window open, so hopefully I won't forget to do it. But yeah, I was thinking as well from what you were saying. I mentioned this at the moment. I sort of said this or mentioned it a few times recently, and I know again it's back to that kind of thing of people in this who come to this environment, this online sort of kind of connected networks that includes the different platforms like Facebook and Twitter and whatever else. People are aware of this kind of shit. But at the moment, it's not just about the direct propaganda coming from the state system. So it's not just about having to deal with the contradictory or bullshit information that's pumped out through the mainstream media and stuff like that. The system has amplified its efforts to disrupt this kind of environment as much as they can. So that will include things like troll activity. Yeah. On the surface, you might see shit going on, content being posted, stuff being said, in chat rooms and whatever, that on the surface may just seem like, oh, that's obviously just a troll taking the piss or having a laugh or doing something stupid. But a lot of that stuff can also be, and I'm saying it's a possibility, I'm not saying it definitely is or whatever, yeah. There is a possibility that that is being coordinated in some fashion. So when you see situations like has been true all along in this environment, some people don't get on with each other, some groups don't get on with each other. You get this kind of interchange and snappiness between people, and some people put up content about somebody else saying they were dick or they were shill or they were this, that, or the other. Unless there's real good evidence or argument in what they're saying, then you could chalk it up to a possibility of, well, that could just be all part of this disruption shit they're doing. Yeah, it's the classic cliche of divide and conquer, divide and rule. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of stuff going on or going round at the moment where there just seems to be drama. Somebody trying to stir up drama, somebody pointing at somebody else saying, oh, he's a dick because he did this or he said that or whatever. Use your own discernment. Like I say, I know most people in this environment are aware of all this kind of shit anyway.
Yeah.
Please be aware that at the moment it's going to be amplified to the nth degree. You've got the elections over in America and you've got this whole COVID shit happening. So yeah, they're going to be out in force. The 77th Brigade and all those different agencies you ever heard of, yeah, plus others, ones that you've never heard of, things that are like third-party private companies in the employment of corporations like Serco. Yeah, big corporations engage in espionage. Don't be naive into thinking they just do stuff in the business world. No, stop it. Blackwater is a corporation. I know they're called something else now. Yeah, Z or whatever. They've probably even changed their name again since Measure got deaded. Corporations engage in espionage. At the largest level, the big mega corporations, you would be very naive to think that that kind of espionage doesn't include very criminal and underhanded activities. It does. Yeah, so please be aware that kind of shit will be happening at the moment. Try not to bite straight away when you see something that might just seem like silly trollishness. Yeah, it could be just silly trollishness, but it could also be a very deliberate attempt to entrap you in some fashion. So getting you to react angrily so that you say something that could then be actioned. Yeah, they could try and prosecute you for saying something. Yeah, it is. Again, it's another massive cliche that we've often talked about, but this environment is now a battlefield.
It's a war, isn't it? We're in a war, World War III, by mind, body, and soul. Or, you know, they want to. I mean, that you mentioned the U.S. election. Sorry, I just reminded me because that is it. Giuliani, is he the ex-mayor of New York?
Mayor of New York for the 9/11. Yeah,
has managed to grab himself somehow what's his name? Hunter Biden's laptop. Have you heard all this?
Yeah.
And he's been putting podcasts out, everything, and telling the people. And the mainstream media haven't gone anywhere near it, apparently, in America or something. It's not even. I don't know if they have or they haven't, but they're not saying much, and it's a scandal if you think about what he's been saying. And you know, if anyone's caught up with that, I don't know.
Most of them have tried to avoid the subject altogether.
Yeah.
Or they've put out statements basically saying it's fake news, or the laptop isn't official, or it's not confirmed that it was his laptop, and various excuses to not cover the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when Sacha Baron Cockhead decides to set up Giuliani in a kind of sting TV operation that he likes to do, you know, where he pretends to be these silly characters and gets people.
Was he an ex-Israeli something or whatever, IDF or something?
Series,
yeah,
to be an ex-Israeli military officer and all that.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, but he quite happily caught up Giuliani in this like satire sting that they did on him, and then the American media were all over that. So they don't want to talk about Biden and the emails and the laptop and the potential network to an international network of paedophilia and child trafficking, human trafficking. No. But as soon as Giuliani's got his hand down his pants, oh yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah? And I'm not defending Giuliani in any way whatsoever. I think he's a despicable. See you next Tuesday. Yeah. But isn't there a good example of hypocrisy there? They don't want to cover the actual meat and bones of the story that's there. Instead, they want to look at salacious gossip about this character.
Yeah. But
right.
It's go on.
Well, I was going to say, let me just have a quick shout out in the chat room because I didn't do it right at the start. I thought I'll leave it a few minutes to allow some people to gather. So hopefully the cache of the chat room doesn't miss out people. I'll do a quick shout out going down through it. I'll try and be as quick as I can. So forgive me if I miss you out. The usual kind of excuses. Tazzie's in the chat. I know she'll be sharing lots of links and good stuff. So thank you, Taz. The Rebel, hello. Earache, hello. I've got these cans. They wear on your ear holes after a while. Malevolence, hello. Crickets, yeah, we was a bit late. So Frantic, hello. Can't tell what that emoticon is that you posted. Frantic, hello. And Anonymous, hello. Squeak, squeak. Johnny Walker, woohoo. Yes, hello, right. Cardini, hello, Cardini. Cardini's planted literally tens of thousands of trees. Yeah. That's the kind of action that we need more of, you know.
Yeah.
So thanks to Dini, good stuff, right? And So Says, hello. Lowlands Pete, hello.
Hello. How you doing, man? Yeah.
Staying sane out there in the crazy lands, in the lowlands. Lynn Anderson, hello. And Linda Cloud, hello. Glad you made it. Krishna, hello. Hope you're doing all right, man. They're not driven you crazy yet. I know they're trying. Nice. N1CE, nice. Hello, mate. And Dotty's in the room. Hello. Scrolling down, scrolling. I know I saw a few other names. Lotsum Tatsro, hello. Glad you made it, right? And Who am I missing?
Super Leads. Have you said
Super Leads? Hello. Hope you're doing all right, man. Yeah, they're definitely trying to drive us crazy at the moment, which is
Johnny Jam Shovel.
Johnny Jam Shovel. Cool.
Hello.
Yeah, mate. Hope you're all right.
Nazy Naz.
Nazi Naz.
Sorry.
Nazi Naz, I think maybe. Got to cook them squirrels right. Yeah, definitely. Preserve wildlife. Pickle a squirrel today. I think I had that on a T-shirt once, many years ago. You know, back when you could have worn that kind of thing and not get attacked by militant vegans. Yeah, it's just a joke, mate. Oh, you evil carnivore. Hello to everyone. If you haven't posted in the chat, you know, if you're just sitting back and listening and watching, that's cool. Hello to you as well. And the people who watch back later on the video when it's not live, hello to everyone, all you time travelers. And Patrick Nee, hello. And we scrolled all the way back to the newest bit of chat, I think so. Yes, hello. So hello to everyone that's joining in the chat now, and hello to everyone in advance that might join in the chat in a bit. You know what it's like. I often don't manage to keep up with everything in the chat, so I'll say hello in advance now. That's my excuse. There you go. So yeah, let me play that video clip now of kind of like what you mentioned about the, you know, some things being not essential, which is why in the subtitle this week I put essential confusion, £120 bug off. Are they going to have a bug off deal on this latest Boots Chemist in it, offering this test for £120? You know, forget waiting for the government to do it. What is it I've said so much recently? Yeah, the government isn't necessarily going to legislate things to happen. The corporations, the business sector will do it for them. You know, so now the corporations, the business sector is offering you a test so that you don't have to wait for the crappy government service to catch up. Oh no, you can do it voluntarily for £120. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Are you terrified by all the fear propaganda on the media such that you so desperately want to know whether you've got this illness that is so deadly that you don't know you've got it until they've tested you and told you? Well, maybe then, you know, you need to go and pay £120 for the privilege of confirming the fear propaganda has had a good effect on you.
And we mentioned last week that you have to pay £80 for the airport test if you want to leave the country. Yeah. There's that charge as well. So, you know, they're racking it up, aren't they?
Yeah. I got this clip from Speak Up channel of a woman who was living in the UK, but she's ended up having to move back to Italy. But she caught this video clip from one of her friends, one of her contacts. Obviously, it's off Sky News, but I thought I'd just play this video version of it, you know, rather than going and digging around in Sky News. But this is from, I think, in Wales, where they've started instituting the essential, non-essential. Oh, hang on, left the audio playing. Wait until the actual video starts moving, and you can see the kind of crazy hypocrisy of what's going on with this, because it is really about creating confusion and subordinating the population, such like an abuser does. They take away your happiness and they won't give it back until you follow their new rules. You know, we've spoken about this kind of thing a lot recently, where like the concept of liberty, a liberty is something that is granted to, it's a freedom that is granted to you for a period of time, usually. So what a lot of the system has been doing, right? Look, that all that stuff's non-essential. Yeah, all taped up, but then you get to the Halloween, the plastic Halloween crap, that's all available to buy. That's considered essential. Magazines, essential. Books, non-essential. They're both reading material. What? how does that even make any sense? Because it's not supposed to make any sense.
No.
The
Pots and
whole
pans, look.
purpose.
You can't
Yeah,
even
you
buy
can't.
a pots and
You
pan
can
to cook with,
you can
which is
buy a tin of
essential.
soup. Yeah, you can buy a tin of soup, but you can't buy a saucepan to cook it in.
Well, that headline there, Cookie, I'll just share that as well, because that backs up how the ridiculous it's got in the supermarket, with Tesco's in particular being mentioned. They've said that sanitary products for women are not essential either.
That's just so over the top. I don't know how they managed to get away with that.
Well,
Swap the screen
and they've
share.
had to obviously had to backtrack. There you go. Tesco wrong to say period products not essential. So I'm sorry, girls. You know, it's if you went to Tesco's to get anything like that, and you know, it's like I say, the extremes of it. And now he's had to stand there. This the health minister, what's his name, Gethin, so Vaughan Gething. That's it, him there. Tesco was simply wrong to tell a woman she could not buy period products during lockdown. The supermarket has apologized now. I mean, what's the, you know, it's the staff are told to do something and they just do it, don't they? They just follow the orders. Like you say, lock it down. And if you look, like you're showing those images there, everything's sealed off, taped off with, you know, that tape you use, you know.
Yeah, it's like accident and emergency
tape.
tape.
All that, you know, it's like warning
Danger
tape.
warning.
Yeah, just to freak you out even more. It's just, that's how they.
Scroll back up a moment, please.
Sorry.
That first picture, the way they blockaded the aisle.
Yes.
That just it made me feel like I am the mouse in the maze, and the scientists have just added some roadblocks to a route that I was used to being there. You know, so like when they mess with the mice to make, you know, so they can do experiments to track memory and things like that.
Yeah.
That just made me feel like I am the mouse in the maze, and they've just changed the shape of the maze.
And Thea and the staff who work there, you can see how they've probably enjoyed doing it. You know, keeping all of them away. They might give me something, you know, because they're buying into the bullshit.
I was really glad to hear, you know, like maybe just a few years ago, before all this crap started like it is, but I know we've spoken about this kind of stuff for so many years now. You know, it's sort of like, to us, it's common parlance to mention certain things. And back in the days, like we would use the phrase false flag, and with a comprehension of what the label, what the terminology meant, and we would explain it and things like that. Now you can quite commonly hear that phrase, that label, used by a lot more people than ever was in the past. Yeah, more and more people have got their head around that concept of what you're talking about when you say false flag. In more recent times, there's been other terminologies and labels that have become more consciously known. Yeah, more and more people are becoming aware of this stuff. So in terms of this stuff, I was happy to hear more often recently, the past few months certainly, various like big name channels and content creators referring to things like the Hegelian dialectic. That's become quite well known over the last couple of years, really, at least, maybe a bit longer. But more recently and more directly related to this situation is things like the Ash conformity test or experiment, the Stanford prison experiment, the Milgram experiment,
Stanley Milgram, yeah,
and ideas about the information to do with areas of psychology and sociology and psychiatry, you know, those kind of mental sciences, the mental sciences.
Yeah.
But things about concepts like operant behavior conditioning, cognitive behavioral conditioning. I know for some people, if maybe they've been into therapy and stuff like that, they may have encountered those phrases or those concepts before, but they're now becoming more widely known by the general public. And not just in the sense of, oh, yeah, I've heard of that before, I know what the words mean. But no, I'm talking about a comprehension of how it is happening in their society around them and how it's affecting them. So like when you said about the people working in the store, for some of them, they're now going to be going through a Stanford prison experiment experience
Yeah.
where they suddenly have the choice to exert a level of authority that they have no right to have. They have no moral or justified right to have that authority, but the structure above them, the government, etc., the corporations that sending out the memos saying, now, today, we've got to do this, yeah? They're given then the impression that they have the authority to do these new things. So they become, like the cliche goes, the little Hitlers. So you get these people that all of a sudden have this attitude like they really are brown shirts. They
Yeah.
think they're there like an extension of the police or the military, and they're going to tell you what to do. And if you don't obey the rules, they're going to be, really, really angry with you.
Yeah. I mean, I like to think people are being trained now to not, because there's more people maybe saying, you don't have to prove that you're not wearing a mask. That there's an equality law. We've mentioned this lots of times over the last few months. People, and it's that sort of rethinking. There's just people have just panicked because they are looking at all the headlines and getting freaked out by it all. And they have to be reminded, and it'll take, there's a few bumps along the way. People are getting arguing, seen fighting, but eventually, people will have to just accept people won't wear a mask, and it's none of your business why they're not wearing a mask. And that's where it's, like getting on the bus, getting on the train, getting on, going in the supermarket,
If you want to mention it, that's a perfect opportunity for you.
Oh yeah, on the bus the other day, where I was the bus pulled over, and I was sitting on the bus. Sorry, I'll start again. Got on the bus, double decker, took off. It was about sort of 3 stops from where I was going to get off, and the bus pulled up, and I heard all this sort of commotion downstairs. The driver was a woman, and she was shouting at some guy to get off the bus or something. He wasn't wearing his mask, or didn't have it on, or took it off, or something that wound her up to make her react like that. And she pulled the bus. She wouldn't move the bus until he got off. I could hear this commotion, and so I came down the stairs. I thought, right, because he said, I don't. I've been to the, I'm exempt, and the doctor says I don't have to wear one. And she said, where's your note? And that's when I sort of thought, right, here we go. I've got to step into action now. So I said, you don't actually need a note. You don't need a doctor's note. They won't actually give you one anyway, because I know I've asked, and they don't give you a note. And she just told me to shush up, shush. And she just kept shouting to this guy to get off. This was an old fella, I'd say. And he's, he said, I've got asthma, love, and he just was, and I thought, phew. So I just walked off the bus in disgust and just walked the rest of my journey. And as I walked off, I said to her, it's disgraceful behavior. I can't believe this is going on in this day and age. You're going to kick him off the bus. And I just walked off. I thought, can't stay on there. But that's what's happening. That's what, you're seeing it in real life. Bus drivers, the trains are worse, apparently. You get on the trains with the police and the transport police question you and stuff. It's just something, it's like you say, it's like something out of, Eastern Germany or Nazi Germany, or those sorts of really draconian sort of, societies from that era. And now we've got China going on all the time, but it's like it's coming here, it's in our face, and people are actually doing it like willingly. These are the rules, go. And I said to her, but hopefully she went away with that and thought about that. But it's very difficult when people are saying, well, I'm just doing my job, and we know what happens when people say just doing your job. It can that's what they said in World War II, did they not? And in the Nuremberg trials, just doing my job, mate. Well, it doesn't matter. You're still guilty of pushing this stuff on people.
There is definitely the element of the Stasi state.
Yeah.
As can be referenced from history of Germany, East Germany, under the control of the Soviets. The Stasi state that they implemented has literally been implemented again here in the UK, when it's going back several weeks now, but the government put out statements basically saying, here's a phone line that you can call to report your neighbours. Keep an eye on your neighbours, and over in the USA, we had that, I can't remember the name of the character saying, snitches get rewards. It used to be snitches get stitches, but now snitches get rewards.
And like I say, this
Shop
is
your neighbours, you get a cash reward.
this is the war we're talking about, you know, in the wartime sort of setting where they've got you doing all this type of thing and policing each other, and there's an invisible enemy.
Mhm.
It's an invisible enemy, this one. It's not dropping bombs on your head, like we've said. It's invisible. It's just, you know, and it's a coronavirus. It's just anyway, yeah. So that's what they've pulled on the people, and people are waking up. Like I've said, they're waking up. They're not putting up with it now. People are seeing the real direct impact it's having on their lives. It's not fun. You know, if you've had a business running or you've got a family business running, you know, around here people are now beginning. You might not make it to the end of the year. You know, where the businesses just go because they can't afford to keep it. You know, keep paying the bills because there's nothing coming in.
I know I'm being hopefully optimistic and whatever, yeah, but
Yeah.
I am hopeful that the example of the gyms, the guy in Liverpool with his gym that stayed open, I can't remember the name of the gym, sorry, but you know, they've managed to stay open and now the fines have been dropped.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
If the public need any confirmation that this pathogen is not real and all these measures that they're trying to implement are, you know, just not needed, is the easiest and nicest way to say it. There's an example. Why aren't all the other businesses getting together, forming basically like temporary unions with each other? Fuck the traditional unions because they won't stand up for you anymore. Yeah, they've all been co-opted and neutered and castrated in their ability to actually deal with the state system. They're an arm of the state system now, same as all the big charities. They're the same problem. They're an arm of the state system. Never expect any good results out of them in the long run.
No.
But if you all get together in your own small little groupings, you know, and stand up and say, no, our local business community is turning around and saying, no, we need to stay open. Otherwise, people are going to be destitute. You know? It's going to get really severe if we don't stay open.
Yeah.
And the arguments about essential and non-essential is just, it's nothing but to generate confusion and
more fear
angst.
and panic and
yeah, it's just
worry.
a mess with the public.
That's all it is.
Like we pointed on the other video clip I showed, yeah, you could, I think that looks like it might be cooking equipment and stuff on the left. But so in one side of the shop, you can buy food, but you're not allowed to buy the utensils to cook the food. And that is, there's no way that makes any logical sense in dealing with a pathogen. And it even, you know, it should scream in people's faces of how abusive this is. It's just like being in an abusive relationship. The
That's like a
government
war,
is trying to
isn't it?
subjugate you. They
Yeah.
want you to adopt a subordinate role, to just do as you're told and not ask any questions whatsoever, even when the instructions make completely no sense whatsoever. Even if the instructions are humiliating to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this then brings us to all that other element about the psychological abuse of what's going on here. Yeah, I mentioned some of those classic experiments that you can reference from the literature and whatever. You know, you can go and look at the information about those experiments and see how they're not disputed. You know, the Stanford prison experiment has been repeated a few times, and the findings, although a little bit different, basically uphold the original premise. You know, the environment can affect people psychologically to a very stark and extreme degree. You know, leading to things like the Milgram experiment, where people were willing to follow orders to electrocute somebody to death just because the person giving the order had an air of authority. That's it. They were wearing a white lab coat and holding a clipboard. That was all that was needed to get somebody to execute another person. This kind of level of absurdity, and it's why I like using that Voltaire quote, you know, those that can get you to believe absurdities can get you to commit atrocities. Because he was describing probably, nearly 200 years ago now, maybe not quite 150 years, whatever. He was describing literally what experiments like the Milgram experiment and the Stanford and the Ash conformity test backs up those kind of findings. Yeah, that's what he was describing. If you can't find, putting it crudely, if you can't find the balls to call this out for what it is, then it will get to a stage of extremes. This is classically how systems of tyranny develop, because not enough people say no. Again, I know it's a cliche, but it's the truth of what's going on. You know, when you're in an abusive relationship, you can be blind to it. You know, again, loads of cliches again this week. You know, love makes you blind. There's a truth to that. You can be blind to what's being done to you because you have a love for the other person. Although it's not exactly a sexual relationship that you're having with the government, the difference is the government, I'm saying it that way, but it's more about the institutions and the build-up of information and knowledge that they've developed over hundreds of years, thousands of years. They know full well how to manipulate people via primarily their base drives. We've often talked about the classics of the fight or flight. You know, they use fear. They get you into a fear response, which means a lot of people will subordinate themselves because they're just terrified. You know, it's like the dog when it's scared lies on the floor and shows its belly and hopes not to be eaten. You know, it subordinates itself to what it sees as a superior that's threatening it. They know how to manipulate that kind of stuff, but they also know how to manipulate your sexual drive. Because please don't forget, in those base drives down in the core of your brain structure, the R complex, there's only a handful of base drives. Can I kill it? Can I eat it? Can I fuck it? Or do I need to run away to survive? Yeah, the base survival drives. And that's one of the keys that is often missed out when people talk about this stuff. You know, so many people talk about how, oh yeah, they use fear, they get people terrified, or they get people angry and they want to defend the country by being angry. Yeah, but they also use the sexual drive against people. And I do think that now this is why in this current situation, the way it's developing, some of what they're doing is directly an example of an abusive relationship between, in a BDSM kind of example, a master and a servant, a dominant and a subordinate, a dom and sub. Yeah. And if you've ever been around that kind of subculture of the world we live in, you know, people have lots of strange fetishes and blah, 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 blah. You know what it's like, a whole gambit of all that craziness. There is a direct correlation between some of the stuff they're doing via the propaganda and the manipulation of the public, the social engineering, that is exactly the same as that kind of dom sub relationship. This is master abusing you with crazy requirements, crazy demands that make no sense and humiliate you at the same time, so that you subordinate yourself to that master.
Or wake up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you take the studied collar off and go, no, I don't want to be the slave anymore.
Yeah.
Kangaroo.
Well,
That's my safe
2020.
word.
It's 2020. I've said it. We said it at the start of the year. You know, before they decided to do all this. But again, it's all part of what I think we're having to go through chaotically as we move forward into a, you know, see it all now, see it for what it is, and then make your own choices. You know, your choice. You know, it's which way do you want to go? It's like what you put in your body, my choice. You know, it's time for people to take responsibility for themselves and realize, you know, this so-called matrix system, government, whatever, it's done. It's done. You know, we're looking at something else, and this is where the energy's coming in, really powerful. It's going to really shift things up early next year. In fact, you know, I think the full moon coming in on Samhain, which is on Saturday, is going to be the start of that. And again, as above, so below stuff, which I always talk about. You know, it's it reflects up there, reflects down here. You know what's going on cosmically, and the chaos up there is happening down on this planet as well. Everything's going through change. Everything's going through a switch, moving into a new time. People are waking up this is the real deal, guys. It is, and this is where we're going, and it's up to us whether we want to believe a Pied Piper, who, you know, like say they want to take you in their direction, they want to harness that energy like they always try and do, and come up with their solutions, or are we going to be savvy enough to think, yeah, well, no, that's not where we're going. We need something completely different. And there's people got plenty of ideas. There's plenty of free. Once the suppressed technologies come through, you know, the stuff that they've been fucking hiding away and sitting on forever and a day, that's a game changer for everybody anyway. And once they realize they don't need that banking system, they don't need to pay mortgages, they don't need to be doing all this stuff, which keeps us in slavery and debt continually, paying all this stuff, tax, whatever. And it's all, you know, people understand the currency systems and that. You know, we're into a new paradigm, into a new age, which is where we're moving anyway, and that's where it is. And I felt that for the last 20 years, and here we are moving through that very, very gradually, but it's really got powerful and strong in 2020, because that's, you know, that's where we are. That's how it's meant to be for us. It's those who've had a bit more work, done a bit more thinking, done a bit more experience and stuff on themselves, then, you know, it's a little bit easier for them. But the ones who haven't, the ones who are melting down, the ones who are seeing it all though, but then talking to their friends and family, that's how it's supposed to be. Communication, people helping to calm each other down whilst, you know, if someone's panicked out and freaking out so much. I nearly said to that bus driver, if you're so scared, love, why didn't you stay at home?
Yeah,
you know, if you're that scared, it's ridiculous. Yeah, just don't project your fear on everybody else, which is what people seem to still do. But you know, that's the learning. So, and as we move forward, like I say, it's shifting up big time, big time. I mean, the elections is interesting in America. I'm just thinking that's the sort of, you know, going to be interesting just this next month or so.
It's going to be a crunch point, definitely.
It is definitely, and what affects there affects everywhere, as you know. Yeah.
A couple of things based on what you said. One was that that's why they're so desperate to push the Great Reset at the moment, because they know there is this consciousness change happening, this energetic change that we're going through. This time period is conducive to all that kind of paradigm shifting change that's happening. Which is not just about the external, it's also about the internal. Yeah, at the same time, the two are interrelated. So we are changing, people are changing, people's attitudes are changing, their desires are changing, their limits are changing. I forgot to mention the question for this week, which is related to that. I'll come back to it in a minute. But that is, you know, so while they're so desperate to push the Great Reset concept, because that is their version, which means they will stay in control, or what they see as control. Yeah,
you'll still be in debt to them.
Reins on the direction of the society we all share.
Yeah. Well, it's like the energy stuff I talked about. You know, the free, like the oil, the gas, the thing they've got us all enslaved. They've got us enslaved in many ways. Energy, you know, where you live, everything. You know, you have to pay everything. Currency. And once these things become more available or apparent, and people are then going, well, hang on a sec, why are we using this when we could be using that? And the truth again comes out, and they've sat on these things for decades now. You know, some people and some people have been murdered because of their free energy devices and bumped off, you know, who wouldn't play ball, and some, you know, so that stuff again is all beginning to be unveiled, and people will see that as we head through to next year. And again, people are doing a lot more thinking, a lot more looking. We've seen them, you know, people are beginning to gather, and this is their death rattle last attempt this year to do this on us on a coronavirus. Couldn't they come up with something better? You know, you know, it's just a joke.
No. I think it's very, very appropriate for many reasons. It may even, I could even argue that it's essential that it was the coronavirus, because of that interlinked relationship. Coronavirus, the crown chakra. The crown chakra is where all your thinking takes place. That's what they're trying to dominate. They're trying to break into your cognitive liberty. They're trying to invade and occupy the final true residence of freedom. Your own mind, your own thinking, your own desires in life, all that good stuff is all within that corona and that crown chakra. Yeah, that's why I think, you know, it was deliberately chosen to be coronavirus. There's other benefits as well. The fact that coronavirus is already so prevalent, it's part of our general life every year that this thing happens. It's easily transmissible. It survives for a few months at a time. It's a perfect cover story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it acts as a perfect vehicle to excuse what they're doing, because who hasn't ever had a cold? Like
Yeah.
we've often talked about the PCR tests, that is literally all they do. They detect the cellular detritus that you have at some point recently, or within however long the stuff remains in your system, had a coronavirus. It does not identify or isolate what they call COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2. It doesn't. They know this full well, and they've even put the information out in the public. But the public,
Don't
in
pay
that
yeah.
love is blind relationship that's happening, is just going, my master would never do me wrong. I will do whatever the master tells me, even if the master tells me to eat his shit, I will do it and say, thank you, master. Please, can I have another service? That is
Yeah.
that dumb sub relationship. Yeah.
Well, it's changing. It's changing. I think those who would be sort of thinking that now would maybe, sorry, then thinking maybe not that, they're waking up and thinking, hang on a second, we had Brexit. I'm not talking about the UK here. I realise they're all a bunch of lying scumbag bastards, and now we've got, how much more does it need to be displayed to you, and then to tell you where you can and cannot go, and in your face with that kind of tyranny right in your face. How and it is waking people up. It is. It's the people are getting. We've seen some people acting daft, and I think the energies, last week terrible. I don't know how everyone had a week last week. My week last week was awful. It seemed to just be the energy was awful. Just people were seeming to be just difficult to deal with. Everything was just awkward last week, and now it seems a bit better this week. I don't know. It's just people change, and then go on.
We might have mentioned it, or I should say, not we. Gary mentioned it, but I can't remember if he said it while we were live or before the show or whatever.
Yeah.
Mercury retrograde.
Yes, well, that does have. Yeah, well, that says everything now. I know now.
I felt it last week, and last week's episode.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch it, I was a bit sort of all over the place.
Mm.
It wasn't like fragmented thinking, but I just felt like there were so many different things I needed or wanted to mention. I didn't sort of have a track of thought pattern that I was following. I was sort of leapfrogging from one thing to another.
Yeah. It's probably like the build up to lockdown, and everybody's mood was so dulled, especially in Wales, because they'd been told 5 days before it was going to happen. That's what they do to you. That's a psychological operation as well. That give you the 5 day. Yeah. Yes. And now this is the date it's going to happen, and this is the time. It's now lockdown.
The other mention, just to slightly backstep into things we were talking about earlier, the moon and
the harvest moon.
Is supposedly going to be a what's called a hunter's moon.
Oh, hunters, not harvest. Yes, I knew it began with an H.
It is. It's both. I think it's considered a hunter's moon and a harvest moon because it's second full moon within the month. And that only happens every so often, every so many cycles. And this particular combination hasn't happened for however long. I think I heard something like 300 plus years. So, again, 2020 has proven to be astrologically, astronomically, very significant in terms of our calendrical way of marking dates and time. Yeah? And don't forget, in some calendar systems out there, like the Orthodox Ethiopian calendar, this year is 2012. So there's a lot of correlations that add into that. The Mayan calendar as well, the dating of that is not 100%, and they never claimed it would be a singular year. They talked about the opening of a doorway kind of thing. So we're still going through that process of there is major change happening in the world around us, the environment. Not just talking about governmental stuff and society, just the whole galactic solar system is going through a cycle of change. So there was that, the moon coming up Mahatma Levelance put in the chat as well. Blue Moon. It might
Blue
be as
Moon.
well, mate. Yeah. I can't remember. I think I did read that, but I can't remember. So I'll take your word for it.
Well, I only saw it's halfway at the moment, and it was very low in the sky this evening. The moon, it looked really great. I thought it looked really good, and it was quite low. But it's where I am. I might not see the full moon because it's just dips. It's in the south, I think, so or that direction.
I'm not sure about the visibility of it at the moment. Like how much the complete full moon, how visible is it in your area and stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, I might go down to the beach on Saturday because it's Saturday evening, and maybe see it from there. You'll be able to see it down there, and it's clear. It's forecast clear, so it should be good.
Just to quickly explain this article, why I'd left it up, because this is relating to the stuff I was talking about, the kind of psychological manipulation, dom sub relationship. Shout out to Scott Webb, who mentioned this article in one of his videos recently, and shout out to Dr. Bruce Scott. So I posted a comment under Scott Webb's video saying it sounds like the doctor's been listening to our broadcasts, because some of the stuff he says in this article, he's like, yeah, I said that. And this guy is a doctor of psychology, I think. Let me just get back down to his accreditation. That's a bit where he's talking about the Geneva Convention. Like we've been saying, just doing my job is not an excuse. He's a psychoanalyst. But if you're interested, it's a bit of a longer article. It's not really long, but I know for a lot of people, they don't like reading great big long articles. But yeah, check it out if you're interested. That for me was kind of like validation of like, yeah, there you go. That's the stuff I've been talking about for ages. There is a sexual element to a lot of the stuff that they're doing, which is often missed out. I know some of us talk about these kind of elements because that very same sexual abuse element of the master-servant kind of relationship abuse process is exactly the same principle that's used in occult ceremonies. The ceremonies of the supposed secret societies that most of them aren't exactly so secret, but their ceremonies again rely on the use of humiliation and subordination. The main reason why in some, obviously it depends on which secret society, which occultic ritual, which particular ceremony you're doing, etc., but some of them require things like the wearing of a mask. The mask and the concept of wearing a mask is something that's very intrinsic and in-depth related to psychoanalytics and psychology. Psychiatry, not so much. Psychiatry is more concerned with the chemical effect, the chemical Koch process. But that kind of psychological element is intrinsically tied into all the stuff. The word persona, we get the word persona from the ancient Greek, and that reference, that word, the etymology of that word is about the mask. The persona is the mask we all wear when we're sharing with each other. We've talked about this kind of stuff ad nauseum at length for the last however many years. We all wear masks. Some of us wear multiple masks and things like that. It sounds a bit cliche, but it's a truth. All the people in that picture, they've all got different personas, but their persona is just another mask that hides the true self. The true self uses those masks as an interpretation filter for reality, so that we interchange with each other, in that kind of fashion that we do. But this is why that kind of sexual subcontext to a lot of what's going on is important to, be aware of. Hopefully you comprehend what they're doing and how they're doing it, but at least be aware of the fact that they're not just trying to poke your fear button and whatever. They're also trying to get at your sexual connection. That might be arousal, but it might also be revulsion. That can be used as well. Don't miss that connection between the sexual abuse cycle or abuse cycle and the occultic ritual humiliation. Most of the public is participating in an occultic ritual, whether they're aware of it or not. Really, a lot of them are totally unaware of it, and the people doing this stuff or carrying out these social engineering agendas don't want the majority to be aware of it, because it works better if they do it without comprehension of what they're participating in. Yeah.
Well, I said right at the start when all this happened, it was a psychic attack.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're working on your psyche and they're manipulating you now, and they're using that. There's a good book out called Psychic Self-Defense. It's an old book now. I can't remember who wrote it now. Dion Fortune, was it? I think so. That's an interesting read, because that tells you about how they actually do all this stuff, how they work this stuff. And as you mentioned, those sorts of cults and those sorts of people who can gather this kind of energy and stuff and use it. And then they've got the arm of the media behind them, which is the greatest spell of all, isn't it? The advertising, the manipulation through your favorite people, that that's how they work it. And that's en masse. But this is slightly different. This is a fear thing. This is being projected in fear now. So that attack on your invisible enemy changes the whole thing around now. And now people are putting that sort of, like you said, fight or flight type behavior. But it's not working because the energy is shifting anyway, and people are beginning to sort of see through the lie, if you know what I mean. The lie's been so fucking big, they can't cover it up anymore. And people are beginning to ask more questions. That's all part of the internet, over this gradual sort of waking up process over the past, since the internet, 20 years, you'd say, roughly. In a sense, people had laptops and the internet was sort of born, and people were getting online more.
24, 25, maybe.
Yeah, and that's helped us, if you like, find more out, get more information, contact, communication. All that's really, accelerated people's learning, but experience as well. People have many more experiences now. But the way that they're pulling this off on us is like, because we know coronaviruses, like you say, we know these things are around, but the way that they pulled it on us is I just think, okay, you've got the media. The only weapon they have is the media, the news, and government spokespeople, and that's it, and scientists. And that's a limited pool of people anyway. If you can think about, it's a limited pool. There's many more on the other side. There's many more others that they don't pick. And we know why they pick the ones they pick, don't we? So because they're all the ones that can be bought and sold. And go on.
Well, in that respect of the scientists and medics and whatever, there is no such thing as consensus science.
No.
That is, as a comprehension of what science is, the use of that phrase demonstrates ignorance of what science is. Yeah, you don't comprehend what science is if you think that saying consensus science is in any way correct. It's not. It's completely incorrect. Yeah. So the fact that the government constantly pump out that message of, it's consensus science, and obviously it's not just relating to COVID, it's to anything that they want to push, like the climate change and whatever. They've used the same phrase for that.
And what will become...
It's an oxymoron. With what science is and how the methodology of science is supposed to operate, there's no such thing as consensus science. It doesn't make any sense in a scientific way.
But it's had the desired effect on the people who are doing the attack, the psychic attack. It's killed off a lot more people than the actual virus did. This type of fear that you put on the public, on the masses.
Pressure and the
stress of that. And
angst.
Yeah, and they've not released suicide figures. I wonder why, but then, we'll find out eventually. And that's part, we talked about eugenics before, these crazy lot who want to, they've got the idea of reducing the population of the planet, and they seem to be doing it quite nicely at the moment, with what they're pulling, and people waking up. So, those who were feeling the pressure of it when it first started, hopefully they've seen through it. They're finding the voice, I'm speaking to a lot more people who are awake now than I ever did, than I ever did, and that's just in the last 6 months. So I can see an acceleration anyway, just around this area and where I live, and I'm sure people, are seeing it themselves as well. People are asking more questions. They're not getting too, they're recovering, if you like, from the attack, from the psychic attack. They're recovering, they're getting over it. They're seeing the bullshit hasn't worked. Like I say, 9/11 was a psychic attack, again, on the mass conscious, to affect people, because that changed a lot. That brought in more draconian rules. Freedom of speech was being attacked continually back in 2000, early 2001, and even before that in the 90s. But it really built up after the Pearl Harbor event they had of 9/11. That was the excuses to bring forward more draconian, rules, which were, locking us down in our freedom of speech, what we could do, what we couldn't do. Airports, things, travel was being restricted in a certain way, or you were being more. Just everyone was a terrorist. Suspicion. And that's what they built up.
Now they got police checkpoints in Wales.
Yes, they have. Yeah,
checking people going across the border and silliness like that.
Yeah.
That's the stage we've got to, but they've still managed to trick a large amount of the population into thinking that that's perfectly acceptable and normal. That's the new normal.
Yeah, but you don't have to. You just, like I say, there's this, like I say, our parents or that sort of era, people born in the 40s and 50s, say, they were under what more propaganda.
Maureen.
Yeah.
That clip, Maureen. I'm 83 and I don't give a sod about it.
I don't give a monkeys. It's like the war, but that's, most people I've spoken to, some of my friends, they say, I'll take my chances, can't tell me what to do. I said, did you vote? Yes. Right. Well, this is where we have to change things. It's corruption is everywhere, every level, corporate, government, or, religion, the whole shebang's corrupt to fuck, all of it. And it's all interlinked through secret societies and all kinds of dodgy dealings in the background, like we know goes on, and other horrific stuff, which is beginning to come out as well about what these people really are getting up to, some of them.
Emails.
Yeah, and all that's beginning to surface now. Like I say, 2020 year of vision, we can see it. And it's yeah, like I say, it's just wait and see. We've got the election next Tuesday, is it? That's the official day of voting, but I know they've been voting.
The main day.
Yeah, they have been voting though, haven't they, since last week, I think, was it? Or
postal voting started.
Yeah. But that's the big one. That's next week. But that will ripple around the world, whatever happens there. Because I mean, we've seen the Biden and the Trump debates, and they've just been a debacle, haven't they? It's like watching a comedy show, really. It's just best comedy ever at the moment. I'm seeing, the
I've
best
been in some pubs where there's like elderly gentlemen, put it that way. The old regulars arguing over bar stools and shit. That's the kind of thing I felt I was watching. It's like two old geezers arguing over who's going to get the bar stool.
Yeah.
But one of the things you mentioned about the internet. It reminded me of my question for this week, because it's related to that, but at the same time it comes back to that. I know it's paradoxical, so is my question deliberately meant to be paradoxical, but it's paradoxical that the internet, like the printing press, has given us this ability to interact with people all around the world, learn so much more, have so many more options about how we communicate and in what way we communicate. Gives us more options of things like how we create art and media itself and all that kind of stuff, So it's absolutely the epitome of the double-edged sword, and it comes to that question of, did they do that deliberately, knowingly? They gave us the internet.
Yeah, people. Like it was. Yeah,
knowing that we would go, oh wow, what a fantastic tool! Yeah, let's make use of it. But at the same time, they knew that it would have these detrimental effects to us as well, and would give them that position of power which now they're trying to exert by controlling what happens.
What we do. Yeah.
Forcing society to be foundationally interlinked to and via the internet. So in other words, how your society runs now relies on the internet. So you really don't want it to go away. You need it there now. And they knew that was the plan. You know, they got you into a situation where it's like, now you're not going to give it up ever, are you? Because you need it just to live a day-to-day life.
Work from home. You got to work from home.
You want to live in this society, you now have to accept that we control this method of interaction.
Yeah.
But on the point about learning, my question I was thinking about for this week, because it was stuff in a similar fashion, I was thinking, I'd been listening to the guy, Double LMC. I'll find a link for his channel and put it in the chat. He's a guy, we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, who put up the speech about Serco. You know, that company, the biggest company that most people don't know about, and all that kind of good stuff, and all their nefarious links into a lot of the stuff that's happening, especially when it comes to the operating of the bureaucracy itself. In other words, the kind of office work jobs and stuff like that most people think are done by somebody, but they don't realize that they're dominated by this one corporation that has been worming its way into so many aspects of societal life. But I was listening to him, and I'm somewhat dubious about some of his content, especially when it comes to things like Trump and QAnon and Pizzagate and some of that kind of stuff. Did that link go through? Yeah. Right. Okay. I thought it had been Googled then. I thought Google had just like blanked it. But he was talking about how much you can learn from researching on the internet now. You know, thanks to the internet, a lot of us have all learned a whole lot more about what the fuck is going on. So you have that double-edged sword effect, but it made me think about the learning process, you know. And I was thinking about Sisyphus as well. If you've ever heard the legend of Sisyphus, the guy who gets condemned by the gods, so he has to push the boulder up the hill constantly, you know, he pushes it up to the top, it rolls down, he has to go back down the bottom and do it all over again. Yeah. But my question for this week was, have you reached the limit of your learning, or have you just learned your limits?
Well, I would say
thinking about it on that point of, because Double LMC, I think his name's Lance, as far as I remember, he's done some martial arts and MMA and things like that. And there's some psychological and spiritual things that you learn when studying martial arts, you know, unless you're ignorant and don't want to know about that kind of stuff. There's a lot of really good, valuable stuff you can learn through studying a martial art. And one of them is that truism of knowing your limits. You know, yes, we should all be optimistic and help each other to uplift ourselves and excel at what we choose to do and things like that. And the really great of any particular skill or athletic ability are the kind of people that don't put limits on themselves. They just keep endeavoring to get better and better and better. Yeah. But there is always that awareness of there will be eventually a limit. You know, Usain Bolt can literally only ever physically run so fast. So unless there's some kind of intervention of technology, he has a physical limit. That's just a physical reality. Yeah.
That's physical. Yeah. But I would say as well, the
learning of your limits, you know, are you stretching your learning? Are you learning more, or have you just assumed a limit and gone, oh, I'll never be able to learn about that, so I'll just stop here. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're learning, say, in the fact of just on the internet, you know, like just seeing what people or reading books, but it's the experience side of it. Yeah, it's like you get experience, like say more spiritual. Well, I always think things lead back to yourself anyway. Like you work on yourself, and it all comes back to you. All of it comes back to you in the end. And you work on yourself, and you start to maybe take up a bit of a spiritual practice, do a bit of meditation. I've said this many times, you know, things of that nature. Get with a group of people who are like-minded and do something, guided meditations together, something like that. There's plenty of information out there about stuff like that, and there's plenty of good stuff there. And, you know, you can just get into that mode and learn about yourself, and then that becomes clearer. You become clearer. You become a more clearer person in your head, and a clearer channel for the for the good stuff, and not having all that baggage and stuff that builds up in all of us. You've got to make sure that you clear that regularly, especially now, because a lot of shit is building up, and people just need to take that time to breathe, and just remember who they are, and take that, that moment. And that moment could last an hour, could last 2 hours, it could whatever, but find that little bit of time each day to just think, right, this is for me, and I'm gonna try and do something a little bit more for me, and not so much the always looking out there, because looking out there will teach you so much, but inside will teach you so much more. And I've that's something.
You need a bit of both.
And I can show you to the door, but I can't make you walk through it. It's that kind of thing as well. You've got to know that that's where it's bringing you back to. It's bringing you back to you.
Self-responsibility element.
Yes, exactly.
I can't do the work for you. I can't go into your head and do this, that, and the other for you. You've got to do it yourself. That's self-responsibility to do that process.
Yeah, and finding doing that will help.
The way you described it as well, like the baggage, made me think of a kind of metaphor or analogy.
Yeah.
When we come into this world, we are explorers primarily. This is something I've argued for years now, and I do think this is a principal foundation of our psychology, our spiritual energy, and why we do a lot of the things we do. We're explorers. We want to go and find out new things and see new worlds that nobody else has ever seen and stuff like that. Yeah. Maybe that's related to the primary drives of looking for somewhere safe and comfortable and contented to live our lives in. But that explorer drive means we go out into the world through our lives. We go out exploring, and while we're exploring, we accumulate all this baggage, and then later in life we come back to ourselves or closer to home, and family and home life become much more important, and then the internal work becomes much more important. And in a way, it's a little bit like a kind of situation where if you go out shopping, you got all your shopping bags full of shopping, and then you come home again. Do you just leave the shopping there in the hallway? You don't, do you? You put it away. You find somewhere to put it, however you choose to do your storage, whether you've got it alphabetized or whatever. Yeah, that's up to you. Maybe your storage is leave it in the bag in the hallway. I don't know. But my point in terms of the analogy, the metaphor is that you go out and you do your shopping and you come back and then you put away the goods that you found. Yeah, we do the same in a psychological sense. We go out into the world, we encounter things, we have experiences, and then when we have the opportunity, we sort of itemize those experiences and encounters, and we file them away in one way or another within our own psychology. Yeah. So it's like that. It's like this system, it wants to give you all this baggage to slow down that exploration process so that you never actually get back to yourself. You get stuck in the outer world, in the external. That's why, this is where the psychology comes in terms of why a lot of people get fixated on consumerism.
Yeah.
Because the system wants you to. It wants you to obsess on stuff. It wants you to equate
Material.
life to materialism. Yeah. If you've got a big car, that means you've made it. If you've got all the fancy stuff in your kitchen, it means you've made it. That's just not true whatsoever. But that's why I thought it's quite relevant when you're talking about baggage and the psychological attack that the system does against people.
Yeah.
We are explorers, but to be an explorer, you need to be able to keep moving. If you constantly pick up baggage and refuse to ever put it down and move on, you will eventually grind to a halt. Third law of thermodynamics? You will eventually run out of momentum because friction will slow you down to a grinding halt. So a lot of what they do to people in their process, I like to refer to it as process, their awakening process, development process. They get people stuck. They quagmire them. They put mud around their feet, or they keep piling on the bags on top of you, saying you need more baggage. You ain't got enough baggage. And it's all about stopping people making that return journey, returning back to themselves from the labyrinth. You know, you found your
Yeah.
way to the center of the labyrinth. You've seen the big nasty monster that likes to claim it rules everything, and then you find your way out the labyrinth again and back home. You know, the hero's journey returned.
Mm. But that's where people, I think that's more people are seeing that now, and even going to bed at night dreaming or waking up the next day and thinking,
I've had some
oh,
really entertaining dreams.
yeah, and
And
just
it's
the
nothing to do with like COVID or dystopia or
no,
martial
no.
law. Shit. They've just been sort of like just general fun shit, you know.
I think it's just the way that, like I say, the way the conscious energy is. We saw that, you know, when we've had big major events like 9/11, where they showed the change in the sort of Schumann resonance or whatever, or the waves, and
The
there
random
was
number machine.
yeah,
Random number generating machine.
and there is, you know, we know this, so this is again, it's there's all sorts coming out anyway. All sorts will be, you know, as we've seen this year already. You've seen how corrupt your leaders are, how vile and disgusting and despicable some of them really are, and just how they've been basically controlling everything from a few thousand years now. I'd say more, a bit more.
On that
Yeah.
word, maybe it's time I play a news clip.
Go on.
You know, we'll get the latest news update, because I think it might be very important news that we need to be aware of. You know, we might necessarily need to change what we're doing in life. You know, there might be more restrictions. You know, yeah, I'll play this.
And welcome to the UK Spoof News Today. High Street chemist Puss in Boots has said they will be offering a 12-minute COVID-19 test. This is to bring peace of mind to the people that have no symptoms at all. So if you're feeling perfectly fine, if you're well, if you don't have a dry, continuous cough, if you don't have any symptoms at all, and if you feel perfectly fine, once again, this is for those that have no symptoms at all. This is for perfectly healthy people. Chemist Puss in Boots would like to offer you a COVID-19 test. This test will cost £120, and Puss in Boots chemist has said that this will take 12 minutes to get your result. The reason for them doing this is to bring peace of mind to people. So once again, if you're not suffering at all, and if you're feeling perfectly fine and well, then please visit your local high street chemist.
Yeah,
Very good.
£120.
Yeah. Oh,
I thought we'd better get the latest news briefing. You know.
yes.
I'll put the link for that in the chat again. That was Jam Noise, Jackie, on a new channel, UK Spoof News. You know, please take note of the fact that it says spoof news.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would be so naughty if somebody naughty out there cut off the intro and then played the rest of the audio, maybe, you know, from their phone while they were wandering through the supermarket, you know, as if they're just surfing the latest news while they're shopping. It'd be so naughty if it didn't have that little intro that lets everyone know it's a spoof, yeah?
They're going to stick a swab about, what, 6 inches up your nose? It doesn't...
Did I put the... Oh, Tazzy's put it in. Thanks, Taz. I'm not sure if I clicked then. I'm sure. Yeah, I did send it, didn't I? Yeah. I keep... The chat isn't updating properly for me for some reason. It keeps sort of stopping, and then I get like a burst.
Yeah, you've shared it.
It's stuttering.
Yeah.
Hello to everyone in the chat, and without getting into too much details, because I'm not interested in getting into personalized drama. I know there's some shit going on at the moment where, you know, somebody feels they've been blocked or removed for some untoward reason. That's not true at all. And I know you know who I'm talking to. I know you know who you are when I'm saying this. If you please stop doing the shit where you come into a chat and all you do is start accusing other people in other chat rooms and other broadcasts about doing whatever, or trying to blame somebody here for blocking you because you've done the same thing again, where you go into a chat and start accusing other people in other chats of this, you're going to get blocked. I've asked you multiple times to please stop doing all that crap. Stop spamming the chat with all that crap. There's nothing to do with anything. It's just yeah, you don't be surprised if you're going to keep getting banned, because I will ban you if you keep doing that. And this is again the kind of thing that I'm talking about, where it's disruption. I'm not saying that that person shouldn't be allowed to have their own say. They can go and do their own channel. They can go and turn up on other people's shows and say whatever they like. I know there's a lot of shit being flung around at the moment. But when it comes to this environment, this is my channel. I'm going to sort of put a little bit of control on it, like I've talked about recently. If I end up being the bad guy because I have to block a few people, then I will happily be the bad guy to prevent that kind of disruption going on. I'm not trying to, shut somebody down, but at the same time, I'm not going to let people turn up and just start throwing shit everywhere, because that's what ends up happening. Yeah, they want to turn everything into a shit show. So when it comes to it, yeah, it means I end up being the bad guy because I have to block some people. But I'd rather stick a plug in those people to stem the tide of that shit flinging than, go, oh, well, on principle, I've got to allow him to say what he wants, because that's part of the trickery. They get their foot in the door by using free speech as a lever. And then once they're in, they saturate whatever you're doing with their shit. They try to disrupt it in some fashion, and it all becomes about whatever the fuck they want to do. No, sorry. This is not your channel. Yeah, I don't run this in the way other people do. If other people choose to do that, it's up to them. I don't. This is my channel. Yeah, I will act as a doorman if required. If somebody is just too disruptive or too abusive or whatever, I'll boot them. If you think I'm a dick for doing that, tough shit. Go to the other club. You've got the whole internet to do your stuff with. But yeah, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about. I know there's a lot of people out there now who maybe feel that they've got to a breaking point where they never used to want to say anything. Now with all the shit that's happening, and maybe they've had personal experiences of stuff happening, they have a real desire or even a need to want to say something. It's necessary, it's good to have an outlet where you can meet other like-minded people and do that. Maybe you've had shit happen to you recently and you just need to vent for 5 minutes and then have a chat with somebody. That's all part of the experiences we're all having, yeah? But what I've always tried to do with this channel is run it in a way where, yeah, I know that kind of stuff happens, and it's why I have no problem with people having general chatter about other subjects and stuff like that, because it's just people interacting. But when it becomes a saturation point and that becomes disruptive, then no, I'll kick that out. You can go on somewhere else, create your own channel so you can say as much as you want. Yeah. This is the methodology of creating chaos. They know that I don't want to say we all, because that's too much of a massive generalization, but so many people will end up attacking each other. I'm not saying this to demean others. I'm not pointing at anyone in particular, but it's, again, like an unfortunate truism cliche. Rats in a sack will eat each other. And what they're doing at the moment with the way they're affecting your society, and they're socially engineering people, and they're putting all this immense psychological and spiritual pressure on people, like we've just been talking about.
Yeah.
Some people will break. And for some people, because they haven't lifted their eyes upwards, they don't realize that the reason for their misery and angst is coming from somewhere else. It's not the guy next to them, but they don't realize that, so they just attack the nearest person. And they know this is a methodology. The system has used it again and again and again and again. It's classic divide and rule, get them fighting each other. They will prod and prod and prod until somebody gets angry and psychologically breaks and starts attacking all his mates. That's deliberate. Yeah. So please, if you want to join in, just try and quell your over enthusiasm. Don't saturate the chat with spam. Don't try and force something to happen that you want. How else can I say it? Hopefully people get the point. Yeah. I will happily be the bad guy to a certain degree because I'm not going to allow their methods of disruption that I know are true. They are not bullshit. They're not conspiracy theory. I'm not paranoid. I know for a fact there are people out there who, even now, are currently trying to do me harm. And that's not because I'm a bad guy. If you think I'm a bad guy, yeah, fuck off. If you think I'm a bad guy, why are you even here fucking listening to me? But I know for a fact there are people trying to do me harm. So I'm not paranoid, am I? Because look up the definition of the word fucking paranoid. Yeah, this shit happens. The government have agencies that do this kind of shit. If it happens to you, it doesn't mean you're special. I'm not having delusions of grandeur that I'm special. They're coming to get me. No, it is a reality that this shit happens in everyday life. Again, reference the Stasi state and the current situation in the UK where they are encouraging people to snitch on each other. That is the definition of the Stasi state, folks.
Yeah.
So when you see this kind of shit happening and people just flinging shit at each other constantly, maybe you want to, walk away and find some other people to chat with. The ones who do nothing but fling shit at everybody else are not really helping this situation in the long run, are they? There's plenty of people out there that I could say a lot of bad shit about, but I don't bother wasting my time doing that because that's not going to help any of us, all of us. Just give it up. Yeah, give it up, guy. Put the baggage down. That's baggage that's been given to you by the fucking system. Stop carrying their shit. This was a phrase I thought of using for a question I thought of using this week. But the wording of it bothered me a little bit because I thought some people might get the wrong impression, especially when I've been talking about the dom sub and the kind of sexual element and whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought of asking the question, whose story are you wearing on your face? And my idea was talking about that, the concept of the persona mask, like I mentioned earlier, where the word persona comes from and stuff like that, relating that to people walking around wearing the face masks. And you're carrying a story, as in the propaganda has convinced you that their narrative, let's call it a lie for more accurate description, is a story. So by adopting wearing that mask, you are carrying their story into public view. Yeah. So whose story are you carrying on your face? Is it your own story? Is it somebody else's story? Do you stylize yourself after some celebrity that you like, or whose story are you carrying on your face? Yeah.
It'll be mainstream content of some kind. That's what it'll
for
be.
a lot of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I know people have called me like various names like Gandalf and Dumbledore and whatever. I never ever deliberately set out to look like this. To me, it was just, it fits me, it suits me, it's my choice, based on some of my principles and just the way I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like to cut my hair. I don't think we should cut our hair, which includes for men your beard. I don't think you should. Apart from trimming it a bit here and there, you should not be cutting the growth of it. You should just allow it to grow.
What I've found is cutting things out of my life, like TV, regular watching the mainstream content, that kind of thing. Even unsubscribing to these because these Netflix channels suck you in, and all this bullshit. You're thinking I don't watch much mainstream, but there you are watching 4 Netflix movies a week or something, and you're being programmed.
Just the image earlier from that Sky News clip that Speak Up have posted, with the magazines next to the books.
Yeah.
What are magazines mostly filled with? Mental bubblegum.
Shite.
Whereas the books, I know in a supermarket, a lot of the books you're going to get are the kind of bestseller dross and stuff anyway, but at least you do find some good stuff in the books. And from a more, I think, genuinely educated point of view, and I mean that as in genuine education, you should be open to reading that kind of material as well anyway, because it's all experience and observation of the reality you're sharing with other people.
Yeah.
Some people see it different to you, so maybe it's worth you reading other people's point of view of the world they live in. Yeah.
And people get into programs, don't they, or into habits, should I say, more habits, with TVs and doing the things that you're doing, and we all get stuck in them. But it's good sometimes to break that and see, how that feels. Because I think with TV, for me, it was like 2009 and 10. I was like, that's it, I can't watch this shite, or this, just everything on it was just annoying me. And it did over time anyway. It was a drip effect over my life with the telly. It's like some things were all right, something I could stand, other things you just would completely reject. But as you get older, you just think, nah, and it helps, because I think there's so much of that, habits we have are so, that we're not realizing the detrimental effect it's having on us. And I say the older generation are more TV addicts rather than the younger ones. They're more, computer
Social
screen,
media.
Social media. But certainly that television set is, it's just, it's dying now. It's dying off slowly. It's become the smart telly now, isn't it? You just watch YouTube on it or something.
It tells you what to watch.
Yeah.
It seemed like when I was a kid, and my mum and dad would want to watch. What was the name of the series that had Alf Garnett in it? Was it not Love and Marriage? No, it was fucking Al Bundy shit. The actual name of the series I can't remember, and it was in black and white originally.
Right.
And it was Alf Garnett and his wife and their family.
Till Death Do Us Part.
That's it. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
And my mum and dad would want to watch that, and as a kid, I was like, "Oh, it's boring. It's just some old guy moaning."
Funny
about
that. Yeah.
I didn't see the comedy in it at all when I was a kid.
Mm.
But as I've grown old, I think I've become more and more like Alf Garnett.
No.
It's funny how that kind of influence sort of sinks in, isn't it? I sort of see myself sat there with the handkerchief on my head, shouting at the TV about the stupidness on the TV.
Yeah. But things have changed so quickly, though, haven't they? Technologically wise, in the last sort of 20 years, it's just gone like exponentially so quick with what we've got now. Because we were just stuck with telly for quite a while, weren't we? And stuff like that.
I think we are entering an age that could be described as the technological dark ages. Because the speed of development has got to a point where I can remember like 20 years ago when I was reading stuff about this kind of thing, and they were talking about the kind of bell curve effect of technological development, and how eventually it will reach a point where it's so almost vertical that the majority of people even working in science and technology will have no concept of the stuff that's being developed day to day, because technology will go so fast that 1 minute you'll read about something and it'll be out of date the next minute. Or to near enough that kind of degree. I'm exaggerating a little bit just to make it sound more dramatic, but that's the kind of estimation they were putting on it. And I've spoken before over the years about Moore's law, and that principle that Moore's law was directly related to transistors, and they would double in capacity. The cost of production would halve, something like that, every 18 months, I think it was his original calculation. And then it was related to, chip manufacture, microchips and whatever, and what most people comprehend as being like how fast your computer is or how fast your smartphone is. That's that kind of development process,
Yeah.
And we're getting to a point now where that development is happening so fast that people who are, even people who are experts in their field cannot easily keep up with all the latest developments. When we get to that point, you're going to end up with a technological priesthood, which arguably this all interrelates to the concepts of technocracy and where a lot of the agendas are deliberately geared to take us. There will be the equivalent of a technological priesthood, a techno priest class, who are people who work in technology and have just enough of a comprehension of the developments that are taking place that they can filter down information to the general populace. So you're talking people who are like currently considered experts in their field that will often pop up on the TV shows and media doing talking pieces, like Neil deGrasse Tyson. he's a scientist with specializations in certain areas, but he likes to talk about anything to do with science. Yeah, so he's that kind of priest class. What's the word for it? Hierophant, who sits in front of the populace and tells them how their religion works and stuff like that. Yeah? But we're hitting that development point now where it is literally becoming like magic. Magic is the purview of religions and belief in otherworldly stuff, you know, things that don't normally fit the day-to-day comprehension of how physics and reality works. So you are literally talking about a techno priest class who will administer to the technologically ignorant. And to the technologically ignorant, what this person does will seem like magic, literally. You know, they will stand behind an altar and they will make things appear out of thin air, and the audience will gasp and praise wonder to their techno god. Whereas in reality, the guy doing it is just operating a 3D printing machine that is pumping stuff out that he thinks about. It's like, oh yeah, do blueprint so and so, and then it appears. You know, that's the way the technology is going to sort of turn back on itself. And we will end up with what I can only describe as a technological dark ages. The majority of the population will have no good comprehension of science and technology that is being used against them or on them or to manipulate them, etc., etc.
I was just saying, when I mentioned before about, suppressed, free energy devices, this sort of thing, or, technology that's out there to, once that comes out, once that is, and we know people know a lot about this stuff over the years anyway. And as we're seeing things collapse around our ears and the way it's going, and the demand for something different, and we'll know there's something different, we'll want something different. It's a time for change.
People will know you want it before you do.
No, they won't. No, again, I mean, these people think they've got it all, wrapped up, and we're just all laughing at it, really. Just laughing out loud at all the bollocks that they've thrown at us and their internet little search engines and that. It's just what it is. We deal with it, we get on with it, but we know it's a load of bollocks, and it's all going to change, and we are going to move through this, and these people aren't going to continue doing what they're doing. It's coming to a close for them. That's why they're all panicking like fuck and doing what they're doing, because, that's it now. It's over.
It is the corporate system, which is a system based on the foundation of using dead entities, using the dead to attack the living. But it is a corporate system that has run its course.
It has. And we mentioned it over the years. How many times? I mean, I remember you saying it back in 2013 and 14, where you reach a sort of age where you said about technology, but this was in sort of like how people who are so rich will just go out and buy literally shit. And you literally fucking just shit. They will buy it and pay a lot of money for it. And they will, that's how bad it gets. And that's like, that's the end, isn't it, of everything in that sense of what they want or need. They've got everything they want and need. And then it just becomes... tap becomes valuable. Sorry,
I keep jumping in on you.
No, that's all right.
You just gave me a brilliant business idea.
Go on.
If you get some old jam jars, like secondhand, they've got to be like recovered jam jars, and shit in them, and then put handwritten labels on them. You could sell them as artisanal. Yeah, as long as it says artisanal on them, people with too much money will fucking buy them.
Who was that? Who was that? Yeah. What was that art? Oh, that I can't remember his name. Is it Damien Hirst or something? That new agey kind of art guy who did all this weird shit, and I think he literally did weird shit. I think that's his name. But did all sorts of, again, that sort of over the top weird art. I've called it art, but it was just shit.
Yeah, it brings up a never-ending argument. Well, art is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
What some people consider art, other people consider just a pile of rubbish.
And it was a pile of rubbish, some of it, literally.
Yeah.
Sorry.
By definition, art should elicit emotional response.
Yeah.
If you get angry that a pile of rubbish has been labelled art, then it's done its job. It's elicited an emotional response. it's quite all right if you turn around and say, I don't like it, I think it's a pile of shit. So, yeah, it's a fair statement. It is. Yeah. What gets me going is the fact that there's people out there who sell piles of shit to other people for millions of pounds, and it's awarded, accolations all over the world. It's been the greatest art ever. And it's like, it's a fucking pile of shit. Joe Bloggs down the road could do that. You're going to give him £1 million for his shit? No, you're only going to give this guy £1 million because he's part of your little loving network.
Yeah.
The social manipulators, the intelligentsia that are the thought creators to make the consciousness of the public go in certain directions. That could lead us to things like Tavistock, but I know we're sort of near enough out of time, so I'll leave that one there. People can look at that for themselves. I was thinking it was appropriate putting this quote up. I haven't shown it for a while. Probably
Mussolini. Yeah.
Fascism should rightly be called corporatism, as it is the merger of corporate and government power, all within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state. But they still like to get people arguing about whether it's communism or fascism. Trust the plan, or Trump's going to save us from the global communism. The Chi-Coms are coming to take us over.
Saying isms, it's all those isms.
You get the opposite of the more left-leaning people. Oh, it's the governmental fascism. We've got to deal with these right-wing neo-Nazi fascists. So these two wings of the same bird, two cheeks of the same ass, blah, blah, blah. Corporatism is a more accurate description because it describes how the system encapsulates all parts of society. Nothing outside the state, not religion, not business, not your general day-to-day life experiences, and nothing against the state. So you're not allowed to say, well, really, I don't think this should be allowed. No, you're not allowed to say that this shouldn't be allowed.
It's in a bloody state, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's like
the state is in a state. And yes, we can laugh about this shit.
Yeah, you have to laugh on it. It's fucking hell.
You can laugh about it.
Yeah.
That's why I was happy to recommend Jam Noise's new channel, because this is an important point to get across to people. Yes, there is a lot of shit going on. Yes, some of it potentially could lead to very dark consequences. But if we pursue that direction of fear only, fear can be used in a beneficial way, as in it can save your life. You shouldn't try to completely erase your ability to be afraid of things, because fear is there to save your life, but not allow it to get exploited against you.
Yeah.
If we just fixate on the direction of fear that they want us to be in, then you'd believe all the propaganda bullshit that they're pumping out constantly, and it would cause you lots of stress. It will make you ill. It will drive you crazy, which is exactly what they want. So laugh in their faces. Use a bit of humor. You can reach more people by making them laugh than you can, in many other ways. And sometimes it's better to use honey rather than vinegar, all that kind of stuff. And a good laugh helps people get through all the bad shit. Unfortunate truism again, having a bit of gallows humor helps you, shovel your way through the pile of bullshit that they keep putting in front of us every day.
Yeah.
There's a time to be serious, and there's a time when you can have a bit of a laugh and kick back. I can't remember the quote properly. It was give me the wisdom to be able to tell the difference. There's a time to be serious and a time to live, and give me the wisdom to know the difference between the two. I can't remember it properly, sorry.
We get the gist.
I'm telling it terribly. So I will leave it at that point.
Cheers, Cookie. Cheers. And thanks to all in the chat as well.
Yeah, thanks for running the chat. Apologies if I've been ranting at you again. Hopefully, don't take it personally. Hopefully, things will maybe sort of ease. Well, we've got Wednesday's chat to do yet, but I was going to say hopefully things will ease off a bit by next week, because when the election will really start ticking over, and we'll see some of this stuff, really maybe start getting going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, enough of this twaddle. Hello, mate. Hope you're right over in the crazy Americas. America. And Swally, hello, mate. Jason Edwards and George Wachowski, hello. Arschluck. Arschluck. Do you have the arschluck? Do you need the weapon for the arschluck? Just a quick shout out. Ridiculizer, hello, mate. Because I noticed several new names in the chat from when I was doing it earlier, so I thought I'd say a quick shout out.
I was just reading that comment. Yeah, it's funny. So we were talking about jars before. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Get a bit of dry brushing on the lid, make them look nice and old and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's old shit.
That artisanal market is a good one to go for. If you could, no, I should just stop there.
No, let's quit. Yeah.
Quit while we're ahead. Thank you. Open-minded skeptic. Hello, mate. Thanks for joining in. And I'm going to leave it there. Check back Wednesday night. We'll be doing reality chat on Peter's channel, reality chat channel.
Yeah.
At Thursday night, Steve Tagoose will be on with the mystery show. Hopefully, I did try sending him an invite tonight, but I'm not sure what Skype channels work anymore for connecting to him. But if you want to come and join in, mate, just give me a shout and sort you out with an email link or Skype link or something. And check Raconteurs News. I'm not sure if Jason's doing any broadcasts this week, but check, you'll see. Obviously, he'll post notifications for when he's broadcasting. Yeah, all that good stuff. Click, like, share, do all that kind of thing. Thanks very much for giving us your attention for a couple of hours. Don't believe all the bullshit. Don't believe all the hype. Try to have a bit of a laugh. Try to sing a little if you get the chance. Or even more so when you're on your own, because then you don't have that psychological worry of people thinking you're terrible at singing. You can excel at being terribly bad at singing. If there's nobody there's nobody to give you any hassle for it, is it? Yeah. But there's something about when you sing, it helps bring up that energy from the heart chakra. Yeah. So
that's it. And
when you're feeling a bit rough or stressed out, even if you sing something angry, that'll help process it. Yeah, but there's something about when you sing, I think it's the way the diaphragm operates when you're singing. Yeah, it helps lift the energy up from the heart chakra.
Yeah.
So give it a go. And if you're walking through the supermarket, don't forget to smile at all the mask wearers. Maybe sing them a little song. Anyway, yes, thanks, folks.
Thanks.
Catch
Cheers,
you again
guys.
soon. Catch you. Click the button.